Hello, ladies. I'm M.G. Draper, for those of you who don't know, and I'm one of the volunteers at the Refugee Education and Training Center in their sewing program. In this unit, I'm going to explain to you how to clean and maintain your sewing machine so that it will perform up to its best ability. The machine I'm using is the one that we have at the Refugee Center. If your machine is significantly different than this one, it would be best if you find your instruction manual, either one that came with your machine, or you can usually find them online. Um, in one section of your book, it will explain how to change the needle, how to fix minor issues with your machine, how to clean it, and how to oil parts of it so that the machine runs more smoothly and usually more quietly. As we go through this, I will be showing you the machine individually and the individual steps that go along with this process. Also during the class, I'm going to be showing you different types of sewing feet and the advantage that they have in helping you to sew particular designs or to sew straight, make buttonholes, do quilting. There are so many feet that are available for your sewing machine, and most of us, especially for beginning sewers, we tend to use just one foot. So throughout this part of the program, and as I show you your individual projects, I'll also be showing you individual feet that may help you to sew that project more successfully. My sewing machine instruction manual looks like this, and inside, again, there is a section that is referred to as maintenance, and in this section will be all of the instructions that I need to properly maintain my sewing machine. This is really a beneficial manual for you to have, and I would recommend that if you haven't received or didn't receive an instruction manual with your book, that you download one from online. It will tell you not only how to maintain your machine, but also how to do a variety of stitches, different feet that you can use, different techniques that you can use, and suggestions again for improving your sewing quality. The first thing that my instruction manual tells me is that I need to make sure to unplug the sewing machine or turn it off while I'm working so that there's no chance of a shock, an electric shock. We will be using a little bit of water on this, so it is a good idea to make sure that your sewing machine is turned off. We're going to begin by making sure that the outside of the sewing machine is actually clean. If your machine has been stored for a long time or you've been using it a lot, it will definitely get dust and dirt, and all you need to do is take a bowl of water, some kind of cleaning fluid, just regular dish soap. Don't use anything especially harsh, and you really only need a drop of liquid into the water. Don't put too much. There's no reason for that. Then just get your rag wet and wring it out, and then go back and dust and clean all of the outside of the machine. This you really should do fairly frequently, maybe every, I don't know, 5 or 10 times that you sew. You can wipe off around the presser foot. You can wipe off the extension arm. Just make sure that you're not dripping water into any of the interior parts of the machine. Okay, we are going to take off the extension table if you have one, and you just need to push that off to the side and take that off. We won't be using that for a little while. Next, we need to remove the presser foot and part of the bobbin case area. I'm going to move this up so that you can see a little bit closer, or have a close-up view of the presser foot and the bobbin case area. This is the area that we are going to do most of our cleaning and oiling in. You should have with your machine a variety of tools, screwdrivers, oil, Okay, to begin with, I need to have a screwdriver, something to clean out the inside of the bobbin case area, and that can be a brush that came with the sewing machine. It may look something like this. It's usually quite, just a very small brush that you'll be able to use to get inside of here. And sewing machine oil. It's important that you only use oil that is made for sewing machines. You can't use a regular oil of any kind because it's, generally speaking, they're too heavy in weight, oil weight, to be added to the sewing machine parts. If you don't have a little brush, you can always just use something like a paintbrush. Okay, once you have your tools assembled, then we are going to go ahead and take off the bobbin case cover, the presser foot, and you can also take off this back area of your machine. To do that, you need to be very careful on how you lift this up. But we're going to start by just lifting this section. And on my machine, all I have to do is just push it forward from the back, and this part will come out. The next thing is to loosen this screw, and again, you'll need a screwdriver of some kind. This screw should not be on there super tight. It should come off fairly easily. I'm going to pause the video for just a second so that I can get the right tool. Loosen those two screws. Make sure that you keep them with this plate. This is called the throat plate. This section is where the guidelines are, where the needle goes into the machine. And once you have loosened those screws, you're just going to lift up and remove the throat plate. Okay, the next thing that you want to do is to remove the needle. Your needle needs to be changed about every 10 hours of sewing, and most of us don't change the needle frequently enough. If you hear any kind of popping sound with your needle, or the needle is pulling the threads on the fabric, that is an indication that it definitely needs to be changed. Okay. All right. This needle, once it's taken out, it really just needs to be thrown away. Okay, needles are not very expensive, and they make a huge difference in the way your project is, the quality of the stitching of your project. So don't hesitate to throw these away if you think they have anything wrong with them. All right, now you can see that this sewing machine has not been cleaned in quite a while. As I bring the camera closer and I look inside of the case, you should be able to see lots and lots of dust. You can see the dust over here in the background. The dust is around really just all of the parts of the sewing machine. So this is what we want to remove, and to remove it frequently again so that your sewing machine will work better. Now you can do this again with a small brush. You can do it with a paintbrush. You also can buy what's called canned air. And canned air is pressurized air, or a chemical of some sort, that when you push the handle, it gives a very strong burst of air, and that air can blow out all of the dust that you may find in your machine. Even using that canned air, though, you may need to go back and brush out any portions where the dust or lint has gotten stuck in the machine. The last way that you could, final way that you could clean this out would be to use a vacuum. Just be certain that if you use a vacuum, you're not sucking up any of your screws or pins, needles, anything that shouldn't be going into your vacuum. Okay. Now the last thing I want you to do is to very carefully lift up on this section. This is called the bobbin case, and that will lift out of your machine so that you can also clean underneath the bobbin case. And often there will be quite a bit of lint inside of this area. Okay? When you put the bobbin case in again, make sure that it has this hook pointing towards the back of the machine. Just very gently place this in the bobbin case and drop it in so that it sits flat. Okay. On my machine, there is also a little tiny arrow. I'm not sure that you can see that, but that little dot, that little white dot, needs to be placed facing to the bottom left of your bottom right of your machine. Once this is in properly, it shouldn't move. Okay, so just drop it in, and then it just sits there by itself and it doesn't move. Okay, now we're going to put our sewing machine back together, and we want to start with the throat plate. The throat plate goes over this section, or the feed dogs, which pull the material. So on this machine, we just need to slide it in, line it up with the feed dogs, and you may need to turn your wheel so that the feed dogs are up, so that you make sure that those are in the right place. Then you're going to take the screws that we removed, put those back in, and snug them up. Now, the screws don't have to be extremely tight. They just need to hold this in place so that it doesn't move. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing with the other screw. And of course I'm going to tighten that screw up also, but I'm not going to take time to show you to do that all right now. I'm just going to get it started. Okay, the next thing I need to replace is the plastic portion. The plastic portion, again, the longer edge of the plastic portion goes to the back of the machine, and there's a little hook on it. You can see that right there. That hook goes into this hole. Put that back in, line this side up, and then just push this down and up so that it snaps in place. Okay? None of these items should be moving. They should all be secure. At that point, you're ready to put your presser foot shank back in place. You can see that there's a little, maybe you can't see that, there's a little opening right here. That opening goes under the screw, and you will have to loosen the screw a little bit. And then, my hand is completely in the way, sorry. And then you're going to tighten that back up. Okay. Put back the presser foot that you want to use, and to do that you just line it up, lower it, and it will snap in place. Okay. You are then ready to put your bobbin in, and well, first you should put your needle in, and then you're going to put your bobbin back in place. Once you get more familiar with your sewing machine, it only takes maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes at the most to get your sewing machine clean. We're going to put the needle in, and you want to put a needle in that is appropriate for the project that you're going to be doing. Okay, I hope you all know that needles come in various sizes. They come in a size 10, 14, and they also go up 16, 18. The one that is most commonly used is the 12. That sews most material well. But if you're doing a heavy material, which we're going to be using for this project, it's best if you use a size 14 needle. Okay, you can buy them in combination packs, or you can buy them in a pack that has only one particular size. This has only size 14 needles in it.